things that they pick apart in the word. And I know this, that word shortly, that rapid action is like a trigger. When it is released, it's like bam, 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 bam. So the Isle of Patmos was an open-air prison designed for the most dangerous criminals. A cave on this hostile, forsaken island became the temporary home of the Apostle John. In these next few weeks, we will study the 7 churches that John spoke about. Jesus revealed and shared about these 7 churches, and John wrote them down. It was the year 95 A.D. Now, how do we know that? The biggest discrepancy and fight right now is, when was John on the Isle of Patmos? Prior to him being on the Isle of Patmos, he was boiled in oil and got up and walked out of the pot that he was boiled in. There's only one emperor. His name is Domitius. He boiled in oil. He came into power in 84 AD. So people that say the Revelation, the book of Revelation, happened in 70 AD, couldn't have. John hadn't been boiled in oil yet, and he wasn't on the Isle of Patmos. Now, there were no other emperors that boiled in oil, so that is the time frame they look at.
Right.
So the Isle of Patmos was sharp rocks surrounding this island with a very strong current, similar to one of those prisons in California. What was that one called? Alcatraz. Common criminals were beaten as part of their welcoming. Political offenders were treated with greater respect and allowed to roam the island. And apparently, he roamed the island. And he found a cave, which he claimed as his home. Entire families sometimes were banished onto this island. And John, although he was a survivor of 12 disciples, most likely carried with him a writer by the name of Prochorus. Am I pronouncing it right? Prochorus. And he would have been banished most likely with him. He was like his right-hand servant. Now, whether or not that was true or not, I'm not sure, and neither is anyone else. But they suspected, because while John is having this vision, someone is writing it down as fast as he's telling it. So here's a little history on John. John was given the responsibility to care for Mary, the mother of Jesus, at the cross, where Jesus said, "John, behold your mother. Mom, behold your son." He entrusted the care of his mom over. And I kind of look at that because shortly before the 70 AD upheaval and the uprising in Jerusalem, John moved Mary to Ephesus. You can find her house there. It was documented in history. He moved her to Ephesus. And so he was out of the way when Jerusalem was trod under and was plowed under, and 1 million of them were killed. That 70 AD turntable is what the argument is right now. They will tell you, people that are into preterism will say everything occurred in 70 AD, there is nothing left to happen. And they teach it as well as they can teach it, and yet it doesn't correlate with the word. The early church history confirms that John cared for Mary to the end of her life, and that he left Jerusalem between the years 37 to 44 AD. And he ministered in various parts of Asia Minor. He settled in Ephesus with Mary, somewhere around the year 67 AD. It saved their lives. A 2nd century bishop of Ephesus named Polycarp, have you heard that name before? Polycarp, was born approximately 30 years after John's death. He wrote that the tomb of John was in the city of Ephesus, and he was the most beloved disciple.